Thank you for having me. My name is Joe Coughlin. I am founder and director of the MIT AgeLab. We at the AgeLab are not just looking at older adults, we're trying to invent life tomorrow. Let me begin with a story of how the AgeLab came to be and how we think about aging, how we think about longevity. The story I'd like to tell you is about a woman named Sarah Noss. I want you to imagine Sarah Noss lived 119 years. And on her 119th birthday, she was asked by a journalist, "Ms. Noss, why do you enjoy living so long?" Such a shocking question to ask a woman on her birthday, let alone one who lived 119 years. But Sarah Noss came back with an answer far more articulate, far more powerful than a policymaker, engineer, doctor, anyone you could imagine. She said, "I enjoy my life because I have my health and I can do things." Ladies and gentlemen, that is the new endless frontier. To create new technologies, services, products, indeed experiences that don't just help us live longer, but to live better, to have our health, but to make sure that we don't just have time in health, but we have healthy time to do the things we know and love. My team here at the AgeLab is made up of a variety of people doing multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary work. We work at the future of communities and transportation. How do we rethink, redesign, and rebuild communities, retail centers, housing, and the like? How do we make it not just age-friendly, but how do we make a world age-ready? We're reimagining the home, not simply as a smart home, but I want you to imagine a home, whatever that might be, an apartment, condominium, a full-blown single-family home. Home as service and not simply home as a place to live, where the Internet of Things and the on-demand economy collide to provide care, convenience, and connectivity, not just for older people, but people across the lifespan. We should start thinking about, what do those communities have to look like? How should we rethink transportation, the future of the car, the future of mass transit, even the future of walking? How do we redesign communities that excite, delight, but are also accessible and have the intensity and density necessary to keep you living longer and connected? And also looking at the future in terms of caregiving. How will we provide care for those that we love as family members, not simply as doctors and clinicians? How do we do that? And then finally, one of our major areas is longevity planning. What is the future of retirement, and how do we get people to prepare and plan for a longer period of life? My team is split up a number of disciplines, nearly 30 people. 1/3 of them are almost every flavor of psychology and social science you can imagine. Another third are engineering and data science. And another third are anthropology, political science, economics, social work. You see, aging is a multidisciplinary sport. So it'd be foolhardy to believe that only engineers or only doctors or even only geriatricians would have something to add about aging. Let's talk a little bit about global aging now. I want you to imagine the following. 1/2 of the children in the so-called industrialized world, including many nations in East Asia, especially Taiwan, 1/2 of the children born in the 1990s and 2000s are likely to live 100 years. Imagine that, 100 years of life. Think about how longevity changes everything. How many places will you live over 100 years? Do you believe that an education that you get from someone like me will last you 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of work, given the doubling in knowledge and changes in technology? Will my wife of 35 years want to live with me to hear 35 more years of the same jokes over and over again? Not how many jobs will you have in 100 years, how many careers will you have in 100 years of life? But here's something else. Our nations are aging, not simply because we are living longer. There's something else happening, especially in Taiwan, the United States, Japan, South Korea, and all of Europe. We have simply stopped having children. Yes, we have stopped having kids. You need 2.1 children per female just to keep a population even. No country in the industrialized world or in East Asia, including China and Taiwan and Japan and Korea and many other parts of Southeast Asia, such as Singapore and the like, no nation is at replacement level, let alone at growth level. Imagine this number. By 2047, there will be more people on the planet over the age of 60 than people under the age of 18. And already today, we have more people in the world over 60 than we have children under 5. This is the essence of the longevity economy. Let me tell you another story, though, why old age, as we currently think of it, is seen as a problem to be solved rather than as an opportunity to be won. I love talking about stories because I want you to think about this. Stories are the oldest technology in the world. They are the most powerful. They explain why we do certain things and why we don't do other things, what's possible, what's available, what's affordable. Stories are the technology by which we design our world. And here's a story for you. Be prepared now. Old age is made up. Yes, you heard me correctly. Old age, as you know it, is made up. You see, British medical science in the 1800s and early 1900s spread to North America, Asia, and around the world this notion of vital energy, vital force. You see, you were born, the theory went, with a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of vital force. And if you used it badly, which, by the way, meant anything fun, you would be drained down of this energy. You would no longer be a glass half full. You'd be a glass half empty. You'd become so tired. Now, here's the thing about stories. Stories don't just explain and make sense of our world. They give us vocabulary. They make entire institutions. You would be so tired that you would have to what? You would have to retire. We created a whole language around that. And by the way, if you were too tired to work in the 1800s and 1900s and you did not have family to support you, you didn't eat. There was no such thing as pension or savings or anything like that. So what would happen is that you would lose energy. You would no longer be a useful cog in the wheel of factories and agriculture and work. So you would have to retire, pull back, withdraw. And guess what? Where you would go if you did not have family? You went to a poorhouse because you did not have the money to support yourself. And over time, poor homes became known as alms homes. And alms homes, believe it or not, evolved into nursing homes. And nursing homes, of course, led to funeral homes. Isn't it amazing how the story of old age gave rise not just to how we think of things being in concrete, that there was a natural end to your work life, that there was a natural, almost a law of physics end in retirement, but also gave birth to institutions that reinforced the idea of retirement, pension, nursing homes, and the like. This story of old age, unfortunately, has permeated the world. So rather than celebrating longer life as the greatest achievement of humankind, we now look at it as a global problem where pensions will go bankrupt, healthcare will go debunked. Think about it. Life expectancy in 1900 for many nations was as low as 46. Today, we are looking in the 70s, 80s, and soon beyond. The problem with stories is that not only do they change our vocabulary, they also change how businesses think about a problem. Heinz Senior Food, as I write in my book, Longevity Economy, thought that, frankly, old people apparently have no teeth and no taste. Therefore, they came up with something called Heinz Senior Foods. It was baby food mush for old people. Needless to say, that product crashed and burned because despite a company with so much money, so much intellectual capital, the story of old age limited their ability to innovate for the fastest growing, wealthiest, and more educated population than we've ever seen in history. We've seen senior housing not just fall during COVID, during the pandemic, but senior housing and retirement homes as we know it today are not attractive to the next generation of older adults. And during the pandemic, that model of what old age is and senior housing has even fallen more. Many of you are very familiar. You may even manufacture devices that monitor whether I've fallen and I can't get up. Devices that say, old man about to fall down. These devices are profoundly rational. They help by falling when I can't get up, things that monitor our blood pressure and the like. But here's something I want you to think about. We at the AgeLab did a study not too long ago, and we found, do you know only 30% of people over age 75 consider themselves old? But 100% of people who use technology that is only about their medication, only about their safety, only about their risk of staying in their home, know that they're old. And when we think about innovation in an aging population, we often think of only medical devices. We think of walkers, blood pressure, reminding you to take your medications. This is not incorrect, but it is woefully incomplete. Old age, as we know it today, is 1/3 of your adult life. From 0 to 21 years old is roughly 8,000 days. From 21 years old to what many of us call midlife crisis, 46, 47, 8,000 days. I bet you're getting the algorithm now. From midlife crisis to 65, that law of Newtonian physics of retirement is 8,000 days. But here's something else you should know. From 65 to more than 85 years old is another 8,000 days. So if we take 0 to 21 years old and we move that off to the side and we call that youth, you're left with what you currently think is retirement as being 1/3 of adult life. This is the new longevity economy. This is a new life stage to be invented, not simply supported. Unfortunately, businesses create things that are big, beige, and boring. They don't choose to excite and delight the fastest growing part of the population worldwide. Whether it's ugly gray or clinical blue, these are the devices that we try to imbue in people's homes and in their lives. So let me wrap this up with where we think at the AgeLab life is going when it comes to life tomorrow and technology. We are now seeing 4 waves of technology and aging. None of them have totally receded. They are themes that have developed over the last 20 or 30 years. The first theme many of you are aware of is aging and technology as a problem of interface. Is it usable? Can I read it? Are the buttons big enough? Is the dials large enough? Again, not incorrect, very incomplete though. And we end up often with devices that are very ugly that nobody wants. Then there's the aging as a problem of smart technology. We have smart homes, we have smart cars, we even have smart toilets coming from Asia that monitor, shall we say, what we download from the user to be able to input to their doctors, nutritionists, and the like. Yes, we are now in the age of technology that will monitor, manage, and motivate you to do almost anything. But is that the kind of life that you want to lead as an older adult, let alone your parents? But now we are in a new age. As I write in my book, The Longevity Economy, we are now in an age of aging technology as a matter of economy. We are seeing very large companies and very small companies from Procter & Gamble, Best Buy, Amazon are now getting into the business, into the market of how we care. How do we live independently? How do we remain at work? No, aging now is a matter of economics, not just a matter of social policy. Finally, we have to start imagining aging as a matter of equity and inclusion. Not everyone will be able to afford these new technologies, these new services, nor will they be widely distributed around the world. This is a new opportunity. It is a new policy imperative. Let me close with some thoughts for you, particularly since many of you are in business. I want to make a business case for you. Old age is the fastest growing part of the population globally, especially in so-called industrial or wealthy nations. Did you know that the 60-plus population worldwide is the 3rd largest economy after the GDP of China and the United States? And in the United States alone, the 50-plus make up 70% of the buying power in the country, but yet only get 1 to 2% of the advertising dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, the longevity economy, the gray economy, if you will, or as they say in Asia, the silver economy, is an emerging market hiding in plain sight, rising out of the abyss with new demands, new wants, and waiting to be excited and delighted. We are the people your parents warned you about. The next generation of old, all of us, are expecting a pill, a product, a widget, a policy, an experience to be far better. To not just be able to live longer, but to live better. On that note, let me end with a quote from the Dean of Engineering at MIT in the 1930s, Vannevar Bush. He was a science advisor to then President Roosevelt. He spoke of science as being the endless frontier. I want you to think that science and technology is now the endless frontier to living longer and living better. I hope all of you would join me and my colleagues here at MIT to invent life tomorrow. Thank you so much.